Hello there, and thank you for joining me once again at my tying bench. And this time around I'm going to tie you up a pattern that you've probably all heard of, the Madam X. It's another very versatile pattern that can represent hoppers and large stoneflies and whatnot. And you can change up the colors for sure, the body colors, the hair that you use, the rubber legs. And I've already caught a few fish on this guy this year, so I thought you might like to see this one tied up this time around, so I'll get him out of the vise, a fresh hook in, I'll get started here for you. Now the hook I'm using is a Mustad 9671, and I'm tying this on a size 8 here. It's about as big as I tie them, but you can go bigger if you wish. I tie them down to like a size 12. Alright, first thing for thread, we're going to use a little heavier thread this time around. I'm using 140 UTC in a tan color. So we'll start our thread here right behind the eye, about an eye length or so. And we're simply going to wrap back to about almost to the hook point here. And I'll snip off that excess thread. Now, generally a lot of these Madam X's are tied with deer hair for the tail and the hidden collar, but I like to use elk. So I'm going to use some tan colored elk hair here. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, I've already got some in the stacker here for the tail, just a small amount, so I'm going to even that out. Give it a little stack. Alright, okay, I got that ready, and I want the tail to be about the length of the hook gap. Not much more than that, so we'll tie that on here. And we'll give it a little wrap back with some looser wraps first. You don't want to cinch it down right off the bat. And then we're just going to wrap that down forward here with some loose wraps. Just gather the hair up more or less. And then we're going to come wrap back a little tighter. Start to cinch the hair down tight. Alrighty, so I want to come back, and if you lift up on that as you wrap back, it'll keep it on top of the hook so it doesn't slide down around the side on you. Okay, so there's pretty much my tail finished. Now I'm going to come back and snip off the butt ends here of the elk hair, nice and close. Alright, so we're just going to bind that down a little better here. Alright, and a few more strays there to trim out. Now for the body on these, a lot of them people use dubbing most of the time, or floss, but I like to add a little extra floatability. I'll use a thin strip of fly foam here in yellow. Of course you can change the colors if you wish. Tan is good, white is good as well. And I trimmed it to sort of a point here. And I'm going to tie that in on the far side here. Alright, right to in front of the tail, and we'll bind that down good. Cover up our excess materials with our thread, and we're going to wrap forward to where the hair stopped. Now we're just simply going to wrap this, come around. Okay, it makes a nice smooth body and just a little more floatability is all. Okay, we're going to tie it off here. A couple tight wraps on top. Okay, like so. A couple in front. Locking that foam in, and we'll come in and trim it out close. Just like so. Okay. Got a few extra locking wraps there. Okay, the next step is I'm going to cut another bunch of elk hair here, about twice the amount I had for the tail. And I'm going to get all the loose fibers out, any under fur there. Now I'll throw this in the stacker and stack it up even. Okay. Give that a few taps there on the bench. Stack that up even. Okay. Pull any shorter hairs, or if you got any cut ends on your hair, you can always pull it out. I don't like to go overly thick on this. Alrighty. Now the way I measure it up is you want to measure it. I want the hair to come back to about the end of the body, and then you want to measure for your head too, so you just move ahead about another 1/8 of an inch, and that's where I'll trim. It doesn't have to be perfect. as long as you get it close. Just checking that to make sure I got it about where I want it there. Actually, it's a little long, so I'll trim a little bit more off. Alright, so now we're going to reverse the hair of my fingers. Just like so here. Now we're going to take that and place it on top. You want your thread right behind the eye of the hook, close behind the eye. They're right tight up against the eye. And you're more or less going to spin that. You may lose a few hairs on the process, but that's alright. Because we just want to get that hair even around the hook, so you spin it around. That's the way I do it anyhow. And you can just take your fingers and turn it if you wish. Alright, so now I'm just going to pull those tips ahead here out of my way while I bind those butt ends down good and secure. Just like so. Several wraps there. Now I'll bring my scissors in and trim those short. Those ends there that we got sticking up. Just turn my vise here. Alrighty. Just a few more to trim. Alright. Now, the next step that we're going to do is we're just simply going to move our thread to right in front of the body. We're going to take that hair, make sure it's even around, best you can get it anyway, and just take your thumb and forefinger and sweep it back rather. And I'll just come in and form my head on the fly, just like so. Now the next step, so generally I like to trim most of the hair off the bottom so that yellow body shows through, so I'm just going to come in and trim most of that off the bottom so it's more or less like so you can see all the body underneath. Okay, now the last step is to add our legs on this guy, and I have some white rubber legs here, and we just want one leg on each side, so I'll just fold that, make a loop, and we'll tie that on top just like so here, right in the center, make a couple wraps, then I'll trim that, take one leg and bring it down on my side, one leg down on the far side, and a few more snug secure wraps here, nice and tight. And I got one more stray hair on the bottom there I got to trim. Now I'm going to trim my legs a little so it'll make it easier to do the whip finish, but I'll trim a little more here when we're done. Alright, bring in my bigger size whip finisher, come around 3 or 4 wraps, secure that down nice and snug, trim our thread. Alright, I see a few more hairs on the bottom I want to cut off here before we finish them up. There we go, that's fine. Okay, now to finish this guy, what I'll do is take the tiniest drop of super glue, Zap Gap is what I use, and a lot of people, you can use whatever super glue you have on hand. And I just put a little dab on the top of those wraps and a little on the bottom. There we go. Very simple version of the Madam X. Now what I like to do is trim my legs. I want the back legs to come to about the end of the body, and the front one's a little bit shorter. And there we have it, folks. Another size 8 foam bodied Madam X. It's a very easy fly to tie, not too hard, and it's good grasshopper imitation and stone flies and whatnot, so I thought you might like to see this guy tied up this time around. And it definitely does to catch fish. So there we have it, and don't forget that you can, it's a very versatile pattern, one that I like to tie those type of flies where you can change them up, change the body color, legs, the hair, and just experiment. So I want to thank you all for watching once again, and until next time, Happy tying out there, and if you haven't subscribed yet and you'd like to see more flies in the future, don't forget to hit the good old subscribe button. So long for now, folks. We'll see you all again soon.